Good evening, agents. I am Kelly Colton, also known as Agent Kelly. I'll be your host tonight, filling in for Daphne. Welcome to the 10th episode of Behind the Scanner. We're here every Thursday night. Today is Thursday, June 26th, 2014, and we've got a great show for you coming up tonight. Just a reminder, if you can't watch the show live, you can watch it the next day unedited on our YouTube channel at youtube.com/behindthescanner. We've enabled the Q&A tool for this hangout, so if you have a specific question for one of our guests, please submit it by writing @person's name at the start of your question. Our producer, Andrew, will be checking your submissions, and we'll ask one or two questions live during each interview, and possibly use one for the panel topic that we'll do towards the end of the show. We also have something kind of special tonight. We're going to have a keychain for each faction created by QXer. We will randomly select one agent from each faction that submitted a question to win a keychain. And the last thing, if you want to be here sitting in this chair or know an agent who would be a great guest for the show, go ahead and submit recommendations at bit.ly/BTS_guest. So let's get started with the show. You've heard enough from me already. My two co-hosts this week, my first co-host is Jorge Pedera. See, this is why Daphne needs to be here.
It's okay, it's okay.
Pedero. He puts the in Ingress, and I can't roll my R's like Daphne can. So Jorge, tell us what's going on.
Hello, Kelly. It's really nice to have you here. And, well, I just can't believe that this is the 10th episode. It's 10 weeks, and this is amazing.
Yeah, did you think you would still be here in 10 weeks?
Well, I thought about that, because if not, I didn't bet in this project, but well, it's amazing that to see that we accomplished those 10 weeks already.
Awesome. I guess we're not going to get canceled after all.
Well, hope not.
So my second co-host for tonight is Andrew Krug, and I'm one of the few people that probably know how to say that correctly, I would think. They call him the Steve Buscemi of Ingress, but I say he's the man in the kilt. Please welcome Andrew Krug.
I'll take both of those. Hopefully not the Con Air version of Steve Buscemi, because that's a little weird. And I gotta give a little shout out to Jorge. Jorge, thank you for this, my friend.
Thank you.
One of them may already be gone, but I've got 3 left. So.
Really? Thank you.
Very tasty. I appreciate it. So thank you. It's good to be here. Yes, our 10th episode. That's amazing. So hopefully we'll be on for another 10 or 30 or 50. With that, I guess let's just jump right into it. Our first guest hails from the home of General Vlad Tepes, aka Dracula. He's the first person to receive also, Romania is the first. I can't even speak tonight. I'm so excited. I had too much tequila. He also comes from the place where they got the first perfect 10 in gymnastics. That's what I'm trying to say. So please welcome Dan Boabes from Romania. Welcome, Dan. We have to unmute yourself, or.
I'm trying to unmute him, but I can't.
Hang up. There you go.
There it is.
Okay.
Hangouts has also had some tequila apparently as well. So. Welcome, thank you. It is what 4 a.m. your time? So.
Yes, 4 a.m. I just left a couple of hours. Nice meeting you guys. Thank you for inviting me to the show.
Well, thank you for coming on. I know you were joking that you've got kids, so you don't sleep anyway, and I can empathize with that as well. But still, I really appreciate it.
Sleeping is optional when you got kids.
But not just kids. You're a very busy man. How many businesses do you own and run these days?
Currently, let me count. I usually try to keep the number of businesses equal with the number of kids. So I have 3 kids and 3 businesses currently. Yeah. Well, of course, when I got the first child, I got the first business, and so yeah, I'm quite a busy man, and sometimes when I try to count up the number of hours I'm spending on Ingress, I'm just looking at the mirror. Oh my God, how can I do everything? But sometimes maybe I quit sleeping, or sometimes maybe I quit some other time-losing activities like watching TV or other time-losing activities for doing
Yeah.
proper stuff. Yeah.
So Dan,
If I think better, I think I watched TV for maybe half an hour for the last month, which I don't know.
Wow.
3 or 4 years ago was I don't know, more than that for sure.
That's good. You're staying busy though.
so Dan, you're a man who wears many hats. Would you say you're an investor, an inventor, or a developer?
I'm not an inventor. Because yeah, I like to look around for what's new in the world. I like the new gadgets. I like following the trends. But still, I'm trying to adapt to my current environment. And when I add some risk to that, and when I add up some money into my local ventures, I probably would call me as an investor. But this is quite a fancy word. I mean, I'm just an entrepreneur. Maybe that's the better word for that. So I take risks, and I take the approach of spending the time as I like. I mean, I've done crazy stuff during the last 12 years in doing different ventures and adventures, and I enjoyed having such an approach, such a life, having an entrepreneur life.
Wow. Dan, what was it like to meet Robert Scoble at the launch of the app Mondo Taxi in Dublin? It was at Web Summit, and can you tell us a little bit about what that is?
Yes, we launched a taxi app. There are many around, but in our part of the world, they are quite successful. And we wanted to, to have something different. So as we were just starting developing for Google Glass, we said, okay, let's have a taxi app on Google Glass, the first ever taxi app on Google Glass. That was like, I think, October last year. And I was following Robert and his Google Plus posts, and I just decided to catch him to talk to him while in Dublin. In the Web Summit in Dublin is one of the largest internet-related events in Europe, and it had also a startup session with 500 startups presented there, and ours too, the Mondo Taxi application. And I was like quite impressed that Robert was very open in allowing us to present the app to him. And it was very funny that glass at that time back in October, it was quite rare. Few people could put their hands on a device in October last year. So I actually approached Robert and said, look, we have an app. You see that is the first one in the world. And he said, okay, let's try it. And he gave us his glass, And we were three guys from Romania with Robert's glass on our hands. And he just did his job while we were trying to install our app into his glass. And we moved away just not to make him, uncomfortable with what we are trying to do. He was signing books and doing some autographs. And after like 20 minutes, he realized he was not seeing us anymore. He was like, "Oh my God, where is my glass? Those guys from Romania took my glass." But actually, we just moved the place where we were standing, and yeah, it was a nice experience having, we Europeans are not that open. It was very interesting to see the American style that Robert showed. Yeah.
So Dan, getting back to all the work that you do, obviously you've got that app company, but what other kind of companies do you have your hands in?
My most successful and longest life, let's say, it's a mobile payment app. Currently in Romania, you can go by bus or you can park your car and pay by mobile, and we are doing this stuff for the Romanian market. And we just started having mobile payment for vending machines, and we are trying to have mobile payment for everything. Any small amount that you pay cash, we are trying to move it to mobile.
Is it all? I'm sorry. Is it all app based, or do you do any NFC payments or anything like that?
We started with SMS. It's
Okay.
pure SMS, and we are still sticking into that because it's very simple to use and very simple to understand. We have apps also, but but only 5 or 6% of the transactions are app-based. Mostly SMS. It's very simple and it works on any mobile. Yeah, I got a media channel, a TV channel that runs a music channel, let's say, that runs on cable networks in Romania. What else? Yeah.
So you're the Romanian MTV, huh?
Yes, a local MTV.
Nice.
And yeah, I have a classifieds newspaper and online website for classifieds. I think I said already 3, but there are actually more. I got the taxi app we just launched in Saudi Arabia, the taxi application, and that's it.
That's it. That's like 6 ventures more than most people have. Most people have 0. That's pretty impressive, I have to say.
Yeah, it's always about the people, the people you gather with, and it's. I was lucky having good people around me. Of course, as anyone, I had bad experiences, but all these experiences improved my, my knowledge and the way to do business.
Right.
Actually, I see Ingress as a very good management exercise.
Oh, I couldn't agree more.
Yeah. Whenever we do our field operations, I always think about that. You need to manage people, you need to synchronize people, you need to manage the resources, and it's a very good exercise for good management exercise.
So you definitely have your finger on the pulse of technology. I think that's kind of an understatement. So what do you think, in your opinion, is going to be the most disruptive technology to hit the mainstream markets in the next 12 months?
Yeah, 12 months is quite quite short time. I mean, but I don't know. It's difficult to say. But actually, what Google is trying with Google Glass and wearables is trying to have all the information pushed to you in at any second, at any minute, as you go around. And yeah, but actually, the most disruptive technology that I feel would be maybe not the next 12 months, but maybe the next 24 months, would be a new kind of energy storage, new kind of batteries, new kind of batteries. This will change the way we use our gadgets as soon as we have better storage capabilities, and that should happen very soon.
So, as a person who is very responsible and motivated and ambitious as you are, do you have any favorite sayings or motivational quotes that you'd like to share with us?
Yeah, I mean there are different quotes around, and sometimes yeah, they're very complicated. So I like the very simple sayings that really say a lot. I like, for example, Branson from Virgin. I like his life and what he did during his life. And he said once that the best way of learning about anything is by doing. So it's one of the simplest quotes I ever seen, but very, I don't know, real and true. You know, just do, and you'll learn a lot of about things and work.
Well, Dan, are you up for taking some questions from the audience?
Sure.
We've got a lot of questions submitted today, so let's see here. How about, since we were talking about projecting things into the future and getting your opinion, Truett Wilson wants to know, what do you think Ingress will be like in a year from now?
Maybe I should say how I want to be. I don't know if that will really happen.
That's perfect. That's perfect.
Yeah. Yeah, more animations, maybe. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. I think I'd like to play private games with my friends. You know, so I would see Ingress 1 year from now like having a tool that you can use for casual playing, and have a weekend out with your friends and say, okay, let's play for 2 hours and split in two teams and play around for 2 hours, a mobile and real life game, you know, and hopefully that would happen. As you go and play soccer or play other games outside, this could be an option I would go for, you know.
Yeah, that'd be pretty interesting, I think, definitely. Sort of tying things together. How about, let's go with Andre Strachey's question. Sorry if I got your name wrong, Andre. He would like, do you know him? Is this somebody you know?
Yeah, it sounds familiar.
Okay. He would like to know if there's a feature in Ingress that you would not want changed or removed. So which one do you want to stay the same now forever?
Mass recycle, maybe.
That's a new one, but yes, that's I think that's a good one. I think most people would want to keep that.
Yeah. I don't want to go back to the times when I was, pushing like 500 times to recycle something. So yeah, I don't want to go back there.
All right.
Well, then I'm going to follow up with some questions, and I want to know what was the experience during the 13 Magnus Anomalies at Bucharest.
Sorry, could you please repeat?
Sure. What was the 13 Magnus Anomaly experience in Bucharest?
Mhm. Yeah, it was great. It was the first time, the first event, English event, official event in Bucharest. So everybody got excited, and it was the first time when we noticed Ingress is not just a game. It was a way to work together and plan together. And actually, I was really impressed that there were so many players interested and participated, and almost 1 year from that, and still we remember in a nice way the event, and we are looking forward to having more events like this. And yeah, it's I can understand the people that go around Europe or around the States to go for the local anomalies, and yeah, maybe I would love to to go to and participate to others also, and whenever I have time, and I know that people spending like 3 or 4 or 5 already, and I really invite them. It was very interesting that we managed to have a very good results as Enlightened, you know. And although we at that time we just came after a period of time when we were like dominated by resistance, we I don't know, our chaos, our way of organizing was not very proper, or we didn't like it too much. But actually, the result was amazing. For that day, we got the best result in from all the cities that organized the 13 Magnus event. So we won like 260 to 61. So it was quite a big difference. But actually, we were satisfied that the strategy and everything that we planned was really effective. Because we had like daily meetings with the coordinators, and finally it worked.
I bet you probably got a lot of AP during the 13 Magnus.
Yes, yes, and a lot of boosters and low inventory afterwards.
That seems to come standard with the anomaly experience. So,
Yeah.
out of all the different stats, reflecting your Ingress accomplishments, what would you say is your favorite statistic?
I know lots of players are crazy about uniques. I'm crazy too. I'm hunting them. But also I love XM recharged. I don't know why, because it's just keeping the portals alive, and sometimes yeah, it keep your city alive. And I remember when, I don't know, I started back in November 2012. I was the first day Ingress was launched. I was playing already, and 1 month after, I remember like December 2012, people left Bucharest for the holiday, and there were just few players left in the city, and most of the portals were decaying, and I was like crazy. Come on, guys, let's keep them alive, And I was like, nervous that it's not happening, and I'm still keeping that behavior to have. Sometimes I call the portals as the new Tamagotchi, You take care of your portal, of your own guardian, You take care how does it feel, you check it up, you change hands, or it's feeling well, or yeah, it's the new Tamagotchi.
Well, then I
How
have to
many
ask you
unique portal
something.
visits do you have? Because you know that.
Yeah.
Yes. I got around 3,000.
3,000.
Yeah.
Wow.
We're gonna tell Daphne about that one. She could probably help you get that count up, actually.
Sorry.
Our usual host, Daphne, whom I'm filling in for.
Yeah, okay. Okay.
She could probably help you get your unique portal visits up. That's kind of her specialty around here.
Mm-hmm. I would love to. Although I played like in 10 countries till now, I played mostly last year when there weren't so many portals around. So, and also I played in countries where roaming was really expensive. Yeah, when you go in a country and you land and you got an SMS or text message saying 1 megabyte is like $10, you just say, "Oh my God, 2 hacks and I'm done," Yeah.
Well, then, you are the founder of the Ingress World of Records G Plus community. Can you talk a bit about that? What is it and why you created?
Yes, actually, I was watching our local players' behavior. Sometimes you brag about your own stats, but actually the most fun comes from group gatherings, from group actions, So we've tried, for example, to get the largest local field, and it was every time more challenging. You got 500K MUs, you got 1 million, you got 2 million. Okay, let's build a bigger one, So sometimes I strongly believe Ingress needs a reference point for such figures, the largest local field, the largest portal, the largest number of links to a portal, or different statistics that we can refer to as a team or as a player, So this will make us try more. So besides your own stats, I think there is a need for a reference point for other types of stats, different, weird, or common statistics that you need to refer to, and this is very challenging. I mean, you decide to do the best, I don't know, the longest link of your country. Okay, you do a lot of things to prepare and beat that record up, Yeah.
So with your 3 children, your 3 companies, your wife, and your cat, how do you find time to play Ingress and achieve all those statistics?
I'm lucky lately that 2 things happen. One is my wife started to play more. I mean, started to play and started to play more. And also we got more portals than we had 1 year ago. I mean, I remember back in November 2012, there were like, I don't know, 20 portals in Bucharest, and we were going around like crazy. and now they are 2,000. I mean, it's different. So getting statistics is much easier. But also, we enjoyed having a couple like game, Ingress game. She enjoyed, for example, when we went 2 weeks ago to Greece for Green Marble operation. So it was a very nice short vacation, Ingress related, but also it was we enjoyed the time there.
And so, I guess I'm supposed to ask you, how often do you go out to buy milk?
You know that. Yeah. I used to buy a milk by, let's say, piece by piece each night, Yeah. At the beginning of the game, I was going each night to buy some milk, and sometimes my wife was saying, "Oh, look, we have enough milk," So I was looking around and said, "Oh, we run out of eggs or run out of bread. I should go out," And of course, it was taking me like 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 hours to get the milk back home,
Well, next time you come back, you need to say, "Hey, I came back with some ice cream."
Or flowers.
That's a run that nobody minds.
Yeah.
So Dan, instead of groceries and needing to go out and get them, what keeps you playing the game?
Meeting the people. I mean, it's a reason to go out and meet people out there, and beer is a good. Is a good. I don't know.
Social lubricator.
Yeah. I noticed. Hacking and drinking is like ingressing. Yeah, hacking and drinking. I mean, I still like the strategical part of the game. I mean, it's sometimes the casual play keeps your mind away from the day-to-day problems. So it's just pushing the buttons keeps your mind focused into the game, and you forget about day-to-day problems. But also I enjoy having being involved in different types of operations, which involves organizing, collaborating, communicating with people throughout the world. And Green Marble was one of very good example. I mean, it's amazing to watch live photos from, I don't know, Norway, Netherlands, and people achieving something at local level, but the final result is something that happened worldwide. It was a really amazing experience that keeps me playing,
Well, Dan, I want to thank you so much for being our first guest tonight and to take the time to be with us, even if it's really, really late for you, or well, maybe early for you. But well, you got your coffee, right? I forgot mine. But can you stick around a little bit for a panel discussion at the end?
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Well, our second guest was born in Singapore, goes to the school in Australia, and is currently living for the summer in Washington D.C. and is known around the English world as Niloni. And well, please welcome Nihal Mirpuri.
Yay! Hey guys, good to be here. Just a quick shout out to Daphne. Sorry you can't make it. Thanks to Andrew, Kelly, Oge. Also a quick shout out to Eeny Meeny for getting me convinced that behind the scanner was the right thing for me to do.
We like Eeny Meeny.
Great.
Thank you, Eeny
Thank
Meeny.
you.
Thank you.
Well, Nihal, welcome to the show. For people that are watching the show right now, who had never met you before, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, sure.
Where did you born exactly? Where did you live? Or where do you live right now? Where are you going to live later?
Yeah, I guess that does raise a few questions. I was born in Singapore. Yeah, I was born in Singapore. I spent about 2 years there, and then I started. So my dad's a diplomat. So every 3 or 4 years, we would move to a new place. I've lived in Indonesia, Malaysia, the UK, US now. I'm in Australia. I've been in Australia 2 times before as well. So I mean, it's been quite an adventure. And right now, I'm currently in the University of Melbourne, and I'm in my second year at the University of Melbourne actually. And I decided to take 6 months off and just spend 6 months with my parents here in DC. So I'm here in DC for 6 months, which is pretty cool. Though I do go back next month, back to Melbourne.
Wow.
Yeah.
I don't know whether to be sad about that or joyous, because you've I won't say a pain, but in the area, yeah, you're kind of active. So, but I will miss you.
Oh, thank you, Krug. Yeah, it's been quite an adventure. I've started, so 6 months ago, I started doing some crazy travels, just exploring the US and exploring the different Ingress communities around here. And I'm really going to miss all that when I go back to Australia, because I mean, I do have an amazing Ingress community back in Australia as well, but I do need to get studying in university, and so I do need to step back from Ingress a little bit, but it's been a really incredible 6 months for me here.
So a little bit more about your background. People might be surprised to learn that you were born completely deaf in both ears and that you have a CI, cochlear implant.
Right.
When did you receive them, and can you describe what it was like to hear for the first time?
Okay. So yes, I was born deaf in both ears, profoundly deaf, which means almost completely deaf. And so my parents found out I was deaf when I was about 2.5 years old. I got the cochlear implant when I was 3 in Sydney, Australia, because it wasn't approved yet in the US. And so it was very much new technology in 1996. And I actually returned to Singapore, being the first Singaporean to have a cochlear implant, which is pretty cool. But it's really, I was 3 years old when I got the cochlear implant, so I can't remember much about it. However, I did get a second cochlear implant on my other year when I was 13 years old in Singapore. And that was quite an experience for me. Just kind of the first sounds you hear are really just beeps and buzzes sort of thing, and if it's too loud, it's painful, and it's just all this like sort of mixed up things. But then after a while, you start to distinguish different sounds, different pitches. You start to hear the syllables in each word. You start to pick out background noise from foreground noise, and just over the course of maybe 4 or 5 years, I gave my other year a shot at trying to understand sound. And unfortunately, it was too late for me. By 13, it was, my brain had already adapted, and it was getting difficult for me to be able to reprogram my brain in a way in order to hear from the other year. And so that's why I can only hear out of 1 year right now.
Oh, wow.
And actually, so you just grabbed that. We were talking about this before we went live, but you've got your speakers essentially hooked into your implant, right?
Right, that's right. So it's basically this. It's actually it's a medical piece of equipment, so it's like $200 or something, but it's just a cable which goes into my cochlear implant, and it's pretty cool because then I can kind of like change the outside sensitivity, so I can like shut off my mom who's yelling at me in the background. Sorry if you're watching this. And you know, it's pretty fun being deaf because you can play around with all this technology. In fact, I was plugged into this when I was at the Asheville anomaly, and what I didn't realize was that being plugged in actually uses more battery on my cochlear implant than usual. And so I ended up by Asheville dinner, I had gone completely deaf in both ears, and that was quite an experience trying to get home completely deaf.
Wow. And I love that you've got such a positive attitude about it. But I know from talking to you that growing up wasn't as easy as what you portray it as now. So can you talk a little bit about that? What was it like growing up as a kid and going through middle school and high school and everything?
Yeah, I guess that's part of what gave me my attitude, just kind of, you know, just kind of bounce out of things. So growing up, I got my cochlear implant when I was 3 years old, so I was very much 3 years behind the development stage of most other people. And my first word was at 5 years old, you know, and I went into mainstream school, and I struggled. I really struggled. I would not hear the teachers, I would not hear the other classmates, and so I would be doing my own thing, I'd be in my own world, and most of elementary school was basically me doing my own thing. And then it wasn't like I woke up one day and I suddenly could just hear perfectly. I still can't hear perfectly. It was, so through middle school as well, I was doing a lot of speech therapy, I was doing a lot of consulting and stuff, and I was bullied very much in middle school just because I wasn't tuned into the conversation. I was not able to, you know, follow things. I wore this giant like cochlear implant thing on my back, and like people made fun of that, and so I was very much bullied in middle school. And by high school, I was starting to become more independent. I was starting to be able to understand things and catch up with the others. And so by university, I'm coping.
Wow.
Yeah.
So this is kind of a curiosity question, but you know, since you have a hearing impairment, have you ever tried to play a musical instrument? Do you like music?
Right. So I guess in what was it, 7th, 8th grade, I was required to pick up an instrument as part of my school. And they brought out a whole bunch of instruments for me to listen to as a group. And the only thing I could actually hear was the trumpet. So, of course, you know, I mean, the only thing I could distinguish each pitch from was the trumpet. And so, of course, I picked up the trumpet. And the first few years of playing trumpet, I could not distinguish different tones. I could not tune myself, you know, and I was told that I should probably switch to clarinet or something, and I was like, no, I don't want to switch to clarinet. So I stuck around with a trumpet. I got a private tutor. I really just kind of focused on the trumpet, and by high school I was in an honor band, and we were doing trips around like Hong Kong and Malaysia, and it was a good experience, and it kind of proved to me, and it proved to other people that you don't have to be, I'm deaf, but I picked up the trumpet and I can now tune by ear. You know, it's not so much a handicap anymore. It's quite an achievement for me, and I'm very proud of that.
That's awesome. That's really cool.
Thanks.
I played saxophone. I could never play the trumpet. I don't know what it was.
I think it was like the lip thing. Like I was told I had big lips or something. I don't know if that was a compliment or not. It probably wasn't. And so I ended up playing the trumpet.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Well, Nico, switching topics because your impairment isn't all you are about. I know you have moved all around the world. So out of all the countries you have visited and lived on, what is your favorite spot in the world to go to unplug and relax?
That's a good question. I guess I spent a lot of my time in Indonesia, and so I'm very familiar with Indonesia and Malaysia and just Southeast Asian region. So most of my best holidays have been out in the Thousand Islands. In fact, there's an island called Pulau Macan, which means Tiger Island, and it's just about 2 hours outside of Jakarta, Indonesia, which is the capital. It's this stunning island. It's a tiny little island, so it's probably 50 meters. Sorry, I'm talking meters. 50 meters wide or something, and it's just stunning. You've got clear waters. You've got it's resort style, and it's so easy to get out there. And that's been some of my best times out there. I spent every year out there, part of the Boy Scouts as well.
So,
I knew I
sounds
liked
amazing. Sounds like a heaven on earth.
Yeah, I mean, if you Google it, you could probably find Pulau Macan, which is a very cool place.
So something else I know you do to sort of maybe not relax, but that you enjoy is, and this is a bit odd, at least in my opinion, but I found it to be very cool as you've educated me. I can see you laughing about it right now. You have a Tumblr that is devoted to fire hydrants, specifically fire hydrants that you take pictures of, and you have over 500 photos in your Tumblr about fire hydrants. What is the fascination with them? And while you talk, I'm going to actually show some of your pictures.
Oh no, this does not sound good. Well, but it's 500 photos just kind of scattered around on albums in my Tumblr, on posts and stuff. And some of these were actually, so yeah, these are very cool ones. I think these were taken by some other people as well. So people started sending me photos of fire hydrants as well, which got pretty cool. And they're all geotagged, by the way, so you can see that if you go into photo details, you can see where they are on a map. And it really started as a portal. There was a portal, which was a hydrant, and there was some discussion between the Resistance and Enlightened about whether this was a legit portal. And it just got to a point where I started looking out for hydrants, just because I didn't know if hydrants were a thing or not, or if that was a portal, or like if it was historical or something. And it turns out that Melbourne, and I'm not sure about the rest of Australia, but Melbourne, they don't make hydrants anymore. They're all underground, or they're all in those little square weird things. And so hydrants are actually quite rare to find in Melbourne. And it just kind of spun off from there. I started getting interested in hydrants and taking photos of hydrants, and these are in New York now. And as I traveled the world, I just took a picture of a hydrant every day. In fact, yesterday I was in Rockville, and they have the coolest hydrants I have ever seen. They're like painted, and there's like a 1980s version hydrant in there, and you got the O'Briens and all the different types of hydrants. Sorry, I also got into hydrant history and stuff. So it's been a pretty cool adventure, just kind of keeping an eye out for hydrants and seeing how they're different in different countries. And I also went to India, and in India they have I didn't see too many hydrants in India, but I ended up going to a fire station and just asking them, of course I made a story up. I'm a journalist. I take photos of hydrants and I will post it in the New York Times or something. And they ended up talking to like the head of the fire station to drive me like 20 miles out into the middle of nowhere to find a fire hydrant. I got a bit freaked out, so I didn't do it in the end, but it's taken me places, which is pretty cool. That's
how many of these fire hydrants? How many of these are portals?
I probably encountered 5 or 6 which are actually portals, and those are really the more interesting, artistic hydrants that have art in it. They usually do art after a fire department saves or does, goes out and saves a house or a building, and they would paint the hydrant just as a thank you. And so many of these are actually portals.
Very cool.
What's the oldest hydrant that you've encountered?
Oh, wow. It was about 2 weeks ago, I think, that I went into Shenandoah, into a place, tiny town, historical town called Harper's Ferry. And there are portals everywhere in the town, like 50 portals or so. But I saw a hydrant and I just snapped a picture of it. And as I went home, I've never seen a hydrant like this before. It was kind of like tall. Looked like it was made of lead or something, and it was just very antique looking. And so I did some research into it, and it turned out that of course, you can't just type in Harper's Ferry hydrant. So I did some research into the building behind the hydrant, and that turned out to be an old fire station, which was, what was it, 1863 or something. So it turned out to be a 160-year-old fire hydrant that I just stumbled upon in Harper's Ferry, which has been the oldest hydrant I've seen.
Interesting. And I'm guessing that you can identify a hydrant now? Can you walk up to a hydrant and say, I know when that was created or made?
I'd like to think I can. I mean, obviously sometimes they'll have the year it was made on the hydrant, which is a bit cheaty, but it works. But you can also kind of identify that you've got the O'Brien tides, which were started in the 1960s and were discontinued at one point in New York, and you just start to know all these little things. And in fact, the latest hydrants are actually in New York somewhere, and I'm trying to hunt them down. Yeah.
It's pretty cool though, because before I met you and started talking to you, I never in a million years would have looked at a hydrant in the way that you do, and it's been really fascinating and eye-opening. I think that's one of the things where the world around you isn't what it seems, and hydrants are exactly that. So, can you give a shout out to your Tumblr page? Can you provide the link for people? What is the URL?
Sure. It's Nyloni, my username, .tumblr.com. Pretty easy.
Easy enough. We'll put that in the comments for the video, the notes for the video, after it gets uploaded to YouTube.
There's an item that you must have in your collection. This is the one.
Oh,
the Kraken hydrant. The Kraken hydrant.
That's probably one of the more famous hydrants. I think I got 20 to 25 people send this to me on the day that it went viral. So that's pretty cool. I love those hydrants. It's amazing.
Are you brave enough to wade into the waters of the audience questions?
Sure. I've seen a whole bunch of.
Let's jump in. All right. How about this one from Carlos Martinez is really good. Have you noticed that Ingress sort of gives you an automatic passport in other countries to be received by people? And what do you think about that? Just sort of instant exception.
Yeah, it's at first, you're kind of freaked out by talking to strangers and by being able to. Ingress gives you an opportunity to explore in a way that you haven't before, and also be confident about exploring because you're going to the historical places. You're also with people who know their local town better than anyone else, and it's really been when I first started out Ingress, before I even hit level 8, I did an Ingress trip to see, and I met up with random people I had never met before in Sydney, and they showed me around in cool places like Manly Beach and just Sydney Opera House and everything. And that's been one of the things that kept me so sucked into Ingress, was that you have such an amazing community who are all out there. They know everything about your local area, and you can reach them easily to be able to say, hey, I'm coming up to the region. Do you want to meet up? Is there anything I want to know about the region? And it's been quite an adventure. And I think everyone should really try tour aggressing, as I call it. I don't know if anyone else says tour aggressing, but I really think everyone should try tour aggressing at one point. So it's really been an eye-opener.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. That's actually a great word. I think we need to coin that, tour aggressing. In going through a lot of these questions, we're actually going to touch on them in a second. So I'll ask one more. I guess it's kind of sarcastic, and then I promise you a lot of the questions, folks, we're going to get to. If you've never watched the show before, we kind of split it up. So the first half of the segment is about getting to know the person. The second half is kind of delving into their Ingress career. Right. Stuart Matthews, however, would like to know, is it true everything you know about Ingress was stolen from the Singapore Resistance?
Wow. Okay. Hi, Stuart. Good to see you. Stuart is a Melbourne player. He's been one of the more influential field strategy field guys, and it's an honor to know him. It's when I first started Ingress, I joined the Singapore Resistance community, and they seem to have everything. They had, like, you know, links to how to efficiently field, and links to, you know, what was the best way to talk on comms about joining the community and stuff. And so very much what I did was I practically copied most of their posts and I pasted it into the Melbourne community saying SFSR, stolen from Singapore Resistance. And that's pretty much what that kind of grew the community, and people started to, you know, Singapore's great, and people started to kind of, that was my first taste as well with just kind of a global, or like interconnecting with other countries and just kind of networking and keeping the flow of information between communities and countries. But I think that there have been some things which I've learned for myself as well, just beyond Singapore. Yeah.
So speaking of the information and the communities, the rumor has it that you're part of the big regional resistance network, also known as BURN. Can you tell me what exactly is your involvement with this organization?
Sure. Okay. I had a little pre-chat with BURN members just before this, just to make sure to figure out like what I should actually tell you. And
everything. Tell us everything.
I'll tell you everything.
Yep. Many of us don't even know what it is. So.
I have a bottle of tequila from Hawaii for you.
Sure. Okay. Yeah, we actually don't live that far from each other. You could just pop by or something. Anyway. Yeah, it's quite simply what the name says, Big Regional Resistance Network. It's a network. It's a resistance network. It's we don't do operations. Instead, we connect, you know, the right people to more right people, and just around the world. It's a networking community. I joined the BURN last year, sometime in October, November, and I joined as one of the first non-US based BURN member, and it was a new concept to all of us back then, and so I started to try and get, you know, people I knew from communities around Southeast Asia, Australia, Asia, you know, just around the world outside of the US into the BURN. And yeah, that's kind of where I started to realize that I really enjoy networking and just reaching out to new communities and experiencing the new communities and just working out, you know, how communities are different across different countries. And so my work with the BURN has been some of the best, some really good times that I've had.
Cool.
Yeah.
So I've always been curious about this. What's the origin of your agent name?
Good question. I'm pretty curious about it as well. So I think it's one of those, you know, 13-year-old teenage random things. You know, 13-year-olds never do rational things, and so one of my friends just said, "Hey, you should be named Nylon-y," and it was a better name than my previous name, which was Scabs42. I think that was pretty.
Yeah, that might not. Yeah.
So it stuck, and since 13 I've had Nylon-y.
Interesting. So it doesn't really mean anything. It's just picked out of thin air.
Yeah, I mean, I messaged a girl like, 2 or 3 years ago, and I was like, hey, so this name you gave me, Nyloni, it's stuck. What does it even mean? And I think her answer was that it rhymes with cyclone, which it doesn't. So I don't even know. It's just going to be a mystery to me.
Maybe you've been pronouncing it wrong this entire time, and it's nylon instead of nylon.
Nylon, maybe. I prefer Nyloni.
Jorge, do you got a question for?
Well, being on. Oh yeah. Yeah. Oh, am I having a lag again?
It's okay. It's live. It's live television. You've got a bit of a lag, but it's all right. We'll work with it. We can hear you now, so it's all good.
Okay. Well, all those missions you have been on, both in person and those that you have support remotely. Do you have one that is your favorite? Can you pick one of those?
Ooh. I've done a lot of operations just kind of around the world. I just kind of like, remotely helped out in some way, with spreadsheets or like Intel or whatever. But some of the best experiences I've had is with actually doing a field on the ground. And that's been really fun for me. I've never actually completed like a complete mega field. I've always given the last link to someone else. But I think my best experience was going down to Tasmania, and I did a trip with Mercury. Shout out if you're watching this. Mercury, who's one of my good friends now, we did a trip to Tasmania, decided to just rent a car and drive to northern Tasmania to a tiny town called Overstone. I think it's Overstone. And we slept in a car as well, which was miserable. But what we ended up doing was a field from Tasmania back to mainland Australia. And as we were doing the fields, it was probably 10 layers or, it was quite a number of layers. As we were doing the layers, because it takes 20 minutes to link each layer, an Enlightened showed up at the field site, and he came up to us and he said, hey, are you doing a field back to mainland Australia? And we, obviously, we were like, oh no, he's going to destroy everything. And so, obviously, we couldn't lie either, so we're like, yes, we're fielding back to Australia. And he said, I think his name was like Stupefy or something. He said, that is so cool. I want to watch you guys do it. And so he just watched us do the rest of the links. And that became, it was a super fun experience just talking to him. And it also became a lesson for me that, fielding is really, really fun. And I very much prefer doing fields and letting others do fields than I prefer, blocking fields or like destroying fields. And so that's really the first step into my personality of like creating instead of destroying fields and just exploring. And so shout out to this Enlightened agent, I never caught your name, for kind of being an eye-opener for me and just making me realize that doing fields is fun and destroying fields in the middle was something I didn't want you to do. And so in the end, it became something that I really appreciate you didn't do.
That's an interesting outlook for a resistance agent, that creating is better than destroying. So that makes me kind of wonder, why did you decide to go with the resistance?
Oh wow, I like blue.
There you have it, folks.
I joined Ingress and I saw, when it shows you kind of like who's joined what faction, and someone I really did not like joined the Enlightened, and so I was like, oh no, I don't want to join the Enlightened, I don't want to play with this guy, and so I chose the Resistance, which was also my favorite color. So yeah, it turned out to be a good choice.
All because of the color blue.
Yeah.
Darn that. Darn.
No.
Well, we've.
I'm sorry.
It's okay. You can do that. So we've talked a lot about your Ingress experiences and your personal experiences, but how have they meshed? How has Ingress actually changed or affected your everyday life?
Um, it's. I think it gives everyone. It gave me a different outlook to life. It made me kind of. I think just kind of going through the communities and just understanding how communities thrived versus how communities were destroyed, and just the understanding that um, it's. It made me forgive a lot more. Ingress just kind of like there was a point where I realized that it's not a cheetah which destroys the community. Rather, it's how the community responds to the cheetah. It's how people actually react to an incident of cheating, which is how the community will survive after that. And that kind of output drove me to be more forgiving of events and just to kind of reach out and try and get into other people's shoes, including the Enlightened. It's been an experience for me.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Nihal, for taking the time to hang out with us tonight. Really interesting to hear your perspective and get to know you a little bit better.
Thank you.
Because of time, unfortunately, we're going to have to skip the panel tonight. However, we are going to post the keychain contest winners within the next hour or so. So please check our G+ profile. If you don't have a link, just search for Behind the Scanner on Google+ and keep an eye out for that. So if you know someone who would be an interesting person for us to interview here on the show, let us know by going to the short link, http://bit.ly/bts_guest. If you missed part of this show, we'll also put that URL in the YouTube comments. And speaking of YouTube, if you have missed any of our past shows, you can watch, our whole archive, and this episode will also be on our YouTube channel at youtube.com/behindthescanner. You can also catch me on Tuesdays. I host the Ingress Happy Hour, which, unlike this show, is not recorded. So it's just a free-for-all casual discussion, which is Tuesdays at 9 p.m. Eastern. You can find information about that by following me. I'll post and you can comment that you want to receive the invite. So thanks again for tuning in to Behind the Scanner, and we'll be back Thursday night at 9 p.m. Eastern, and you'll have your normal hosts back. Thank you very much.
Actually, we are going to do something a little bit different next week. Next weekend is July 4th here in the United States, and as we talked about at the beginning of the program, we've been doing this for 10 weeks, and Jorge is... Are we still going to do this, Jorge, before I sort of let the cat out of the bag? We're going to give it a shot? I think you're muted right now. Unmute yourself. We'll tell
yeah, I'm unmuted.
Okay.
Well, I'm trying. What if we let it as a surprise?
Okay. So just know that next week the show as you know it may not be the same format. If we can pull off this surprise, half of the world will love it, and the other half will be watching fireworks. So actually, that's not really fair, because the U.S. isn't really half the world. At any rate.
Andrew, everyone's going to be watching it on the YouTube archive, so
that's true. That's true.
It'll be great.
So we're gonna try out something a little bit different, and hopefully it works out. So stay tuned for that. So sorry, didn't mean to interrupt.
Awesome. Cool. Thanks again. Have a great night, and thanks for tuning in.
Thanks, guys. Take care. Happy hacking.